Hi everybody, Becky Killennick here. Thanks for joining me as we talk a little bit about kerning in InDesign. First of all, I want to get a few things out of the way. Yeah, I'm not wearing my glasses. What? They were bothering me this morning, so I put in my contacts. Secondly, I have to point out my coffee cup. Isn't this cool? My sister got that for me for Chris Monica. All right, let's launch in and talk a little bit about InDesign. First of all, let's talk about the difference between kerning and tracking. Both kerning and tracking refer to the spacing between letters. It's a very nitty-gritty way to make sure that your type looks amazing. Tracking is when you adjust the overall spacing between multiple letters at a time. So, for instance, you might want to adjust the spacing of this entire line. In InDesign, you can do this several ways. You can do it in your character panel, or you can do it up here in your control panel if you have text highlighted. The difference between tracking and kerning is tracking affects the overall spacing within a word or sentence or paragraph, whereas kerning is where you adjust the tiny little bit of space that exists between two letters. Yeah, that's nitty-gritty. Oh yeah. I'm going to use my character panel here because I'm a little bit old school. What I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight some text, and if I go here to my tracking, you'll see there's some drop-down options that I have to actually control the tracking overall. I can also type in a custom value, but let me just show you what it looks like. So I'm going to do -100, and look, that really tightens it. That's crazy, right? The negative numbers reduce the space, the positive numbers add more space. Kerning is a little more detail-oriented, and it's really important if you're working on a heading that's just a few lines long, or a logo, or anything where there's fewer letters and unsightly negative space between those letters is going to be really noticeable. You'll notice that if I select multiple letters, even if it's just 2 letters, if I go down here to kern, I only have 2 options. I have optical and metrics, and these are 2 built-in defaults that InDesign has, but it doesn't give me the option to put in any custom values. If you want to kern with something custom, what you do is you actually place your cursor between the 2 letters that you want to kern together, and you'll notice over here, now I can either select a value from the drop-down or put in a custom value. So I'm going to put in -74 because I really want those letters to be close together. Look at that, it looks so much better. But now it's really noticeable here that I need to kern these letters. So I'm going to do the same thing. And notice here that it tells me what that automatic value is, that default value that's been placed here. Anytime you see parentheses around a value in one of these panels in InDesign, it means that it's a default value. So I'm going to increase it to -75. There we are. Now it's starting to look nicer, right? And we can just keep working our way through until this looks pretty reasonable. See, that looks so much better, right? Let me show you what it looked like before. Big difference, right? Yeah. One question I get a lot is, like, you have a huge block of text and you always want the A and the D, or the V and the O, or the L and the I to be a little bit closer together. Obviously, if you're doing a textbook or something, you don't have time to go through and find every instance of those 2-letter combinations and adjust the kerning between them. This was really easy to do in Quark. Okay, so let me show you how I do that. First of all, we're going to be using some paragraph styles. So a paragraph style, it's a preset that you can set up for your text that controls the indentation, the space between paragraphs, the text size, the leading. You can even use it to create drop caps or to put rules above or below your text. Paragraph styles are pretty powerful. I'm just going to give you a quick overview here so I can show you how to use paragraph styles and character styles to control kerning between specific letter pairs. So I'm going to go into paragraph styles here, and I'm going to create a new paragraph style. So I get this new paragraph style dialog box. Let's give it a name. I'm going to do this really quickly, but I want you to see all the options you have here. So you can choose your font. I clicked on basic character formats here. You can choose your font, the style. So if you have a Roman, a bold, an italic, bold italic, condensed, extended, bold, ornaments, whatever. You choose that, and you set your size and your leading. Those are all pretty important, right? Don't worry about the kerning or the tracking right now, because we're going to be doing some custom stuff. Indents and spacing, this is the other one I always make sure that I set up when I'm doing a new paragraph style. So if you want to do a first line indent, or if you want to do a space after with your paragraph, don't do both, do one or the other. We're assuming this is going to be for body text. And then, like I said, there are options here. You can do paragraph rules. This is if you want to have lines below your text. This is also a great way if you're creating a form and you want to have a bunch of lines. You can just set up a style with a rule below, apply the style, and just hit return, 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 and you've got a whole page of lines. Very cool. But we're not doing that right now. Hyphenation and justification, also really cool. I am going to make sure that hyphenate is unchecked right now, but it just depends on your style guide, right? Justification is also a really cool feature. Again, a discussion for another time. I'm sorry, I'm just getting so excited. I love paragraph styles so much. Anyway, that's all we're going to worry about right now. So we've got our basic character format set up, and we've got our indents and spacing set up. We will be opening the style back up. So I'm going to hit OK. Now I'm going to go create a character style. And a character style is something that you can apply to text within a paragraph. So if you have just one word or one letter that you want to be bold or red or something like that, you wouldn't create a paragraph style for that. You create a character style. And then that way you can apply it to just those sets of letters or words, and it won't affect the rest of the paragraph. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to find a group of letters that need some kerning. I always find that two letters with bowls, like O and P, tend to need kerning. So I'm going to go over here. I've got a P and an O here. They could use that space between them reduced a little bit, don't you think? Let's zoom in here so we can really see what we're looking at. I know I said tracking was for multiple letters, but I have not figured out yet how to create a kerning style. There used to be an InDesign bug that allowed you to do it, but I don't think that's there anymore. So my workaround is I'm actually going to track these two letters together, and then I'm going to record it as a style. I'm going to come here into my character panel, and I'm going to track these two letters together until I am happy with the space between them. That looks good. Now, I'm going to keep these two letters highlighted, and I'm going to go here to New Character Style, and I'm going to call it Kern P-O. All right? And you'll notice I'm not going to change anything here. The only thing that's actually in here is that tracking, and that's fine. That's the only thing I really want to apply, but it's set at -50. So I'm going to hit OK. Let's go over here now to our paragraph styles, and we're going to open back up that paragraph style that we created a few minutes ago. Scroll down here to grep style. Okay, so it's going to get fun. Click on this new grep style button. Now I just need to go up here, and where it says apply style, I'm going to click on that. And see it says none. I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to choose that character style I just made. Okay, and then now I'm going to put in a value here to text. Now this is a little bit tricky. I basically need to put in a little bit of code, this little grep language, to tell InDesign when to apply this tracking. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to type P and then parens != O. Close parens. Then I hit OK. And let's select all of my text now, and I'm going to apply that paragraph style. And you'll notice when I do it, I might get that little plus sign. That plus sign means, I kind of applied that style. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep that selected. I'm going to hit Option on a Mac, Alt on a PC, and click that style again. And you will see that every instance of P followed by O is now kerned. What do you think of that? And I can do that with other letter groups if I want, just by following the same pattern. And before you know it, you're going to be getting really detailed into your kerning. I hope this was useful. Have a cup of coffee and go try it out for yourself. For more on information design, including tutorials and tips and tricks, please visit my site at theconceptspot.com/blog. Bye.